All right, guys, so in this video, I'm gonna show you how to achieve metabolic autopilot. So this is gonna teach you how to skyrocket your metabolism so you can stay shredded year round without having to do cardio or track a single calorie. This is also gonna allow you to build muscle and lose fat simultaneously, which is possible if you get these things in check. And almost more importantly than your physique, like obviously we wanna be more jacked, more shredded and whatnot, but how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Right? How do you get the energy? How do you have laser sharp brain power and mental focus? Right? How do you improve the overall outlook that you have on life so you can crush it every day that you're working or doing whatever you need to do? Lock in over the next 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it ends up being. Take notes, get a pen, pad, paper, whatever you need, the note section in your phone, put your phone on airplane mode, have no distractions. I don't care if you're in your late 20s or your 30s or if you're in your 40s or your 50s or one of the older guys. There's something in this presentation that you'll be able to take away from today. Honestly, like a massive amount of stuff that you can implement tonight and this week so that you can start moving in the direction of your goal where you don't have to meticulously track calories every single day or do a bunch of fucking cardio so that you can stay lean. Let's get into it. So who this is for. Number one, if you're not dangerously confident about what you see in the mirror every morning, right? That's going to set the tone for your entire day. So if you're not feeling so hot about that, this is for you. If you feel like you're torturing yourself to get lean without success, pretty explanatory. You don't want to beat the shit out of yourself just to get lean. If you feel like you don't even recognize yourself anymore, this is more common than you think. A lot of people experience this. Other one, if you despise the thought of living a mediocre life with a mediocre spouse. If you have a better physique, better energy, you're just going to be an absolute weapon. You're going to attract higher level people, including spouses, but also like your friends and family. You're just going to level up everybody together. If you want more respect and authority in the world, that's another one. Like people will just unfortunately judge books by their cover. You being disciplined with your diet, your nutrition, your workouts, your lifestyle, people are going to be able to see the discipline. You wear it on your chest. It's something that you can't hide. It can't be bought. It must be earned. And the last one is if you want to leverage your health and your physique to get the most out of life. That's the key here. You want to leverage your health to get more out of life. When it becomes the other way around, that's where people get demoralized and you decide, hey, I don't even want to do this anymore. I forgot why I was doing it to start. On the flip side, who this is not for. So if you aren't willing to change anything about your diet or your lifestyle, can't help you. If you can't commit to anything new for more than 2 weeks, probably not going to work out, right? If you refuse to take accountability for where you currently are, you are not fat because of anybody else, right? You are not out of shape because of anyone but yourself. So take accountability for where you're at right now, and that's the only way that you can take control of your future. If you think this information is about to be some sort of a magic pill, I really can't help you. There's discipline, there must be effort put into this. It's not going to happen overnight, obviously. But with that said, the information I'm about to show you is choreographed in a way to where you don't have to use so much willpower as David Goggins or one of these high level performers. Not that you don't have to be high level, but you don't have to beat the crap out of yourself just to stay lean. The other thing, if you don't want to give yourself every unfair advantage, right? If you don't value a solid physique, if you don't think having a world-class physique and the energy of a teenager is going to change anything in your life, like this presentation is not for you. I'm not really sure what to say to you. It's pretty obvious how that's going to help you in many, many different ways. Making more money, having better relationships, and being able to, work towards your higher purpose, whatever that might be for you. So let's start off with why you never had a chance. Mainstream health and fitness advice is pretty much setting you up for failure. Right? So it makes a lot of sense when you think about this stuff. Number one, cardio is the worst way to get shredded. Let me say that again. Cardio is the worst way to get shredded. It's like walking a tightrope. You don't need to stress your body out that much because your body's just going to react how it was meant to, and it's going to increase your hunger to support the extra work that you're doing. And, if you're fighting against your hunger, that's the number one thing that's going to stop you from creating a calorie deficit, which is what's going to create the weight loss in the first place. Other thing, the chicken, rice, and veggie diet, recipe for disaster. Who actually likes that? The OG bodybuilding diet, like it's pretty bland, pretty disgusting, not really about it. A gallon of water a day is actually going to dehydrate you. So this is something that I fell into in the past where you think if I drink a ton of water, I'm going to get super hydrated, right? No, it puts your body into this flushing state. So you're flushing out all your micronutrients, but also these trace minerals, these electrolytes, which are important for energy. So other thing, switching it up will keep you stuck forever. If you want to improve your physique, if you want to improve your body composition, it's nothing more than building muscle and losing fat, right? That's what toning is in a nutshell. But if you're consistently switching up your workouts, how are you going to confirm that you are progressively overloading your muscles so that they actually have a reason to grow? So you'll just be in this limbo area where you're constantly switching it up all the time. And switching it up, there are times to do that when you plateau, but it's not on a week to week or a month to month basis. It's a little bit longer than that. Glorification of BS supplements like melatonin, sea moss, and these other fat burners, even protein powder. This stuff is not a magic pill like these gurus make it out to be. Yes, some of these things will give you an edge, but honestly, a lot of them give you more bang for your buck than the ones that are at the top, like some of these that I've mentioned. Other thing, only focusing on the calories and the macros and ignoring the micronutrients. So what I mean by that is like, hey, if you're gonna eat junk food, but you're tracking the calories and the macros, eventually your body is going to be so poisoned that it's not really burning so many calories, right? Your metabolic rate is going to lower. Things like micronutrients, the trace minerals, magnesium, phosphorus, calcium, right? And even different sorts of sugars, these things are going to upregulate your metabolism because your hormonal health, or specifically your thyroid health, is going to improve. Your thyroid is what controls your metabolism. So if you boost your metabolism, you just have more calories to work with in a day. And that way, dieting doesn't have to be so strenuous. You don't have to eat so little food to be in a calorie deficit. I'll get into that more later. The other last thing I'll say here is sugar is the enemy. These fake sugars, which I'll talk about in a little bit, these are the enemy. But simple sugars like glucose and fructose, these are the main energy source for your thyroid. And as I said earlier, your thyroid is what controls your metabolism. If you deprive your body of these simple sugars, your metabolism is going to crash because your thyroid is going to downregulate. So, if you supply your body with these simple sugars, and obviously you got to have a balance. You don't want to just be crushing sugar all day long. You need a balanced diet of all the macronutrients, but also all the micronutrients. But if you have that in check, your thyroid is going to thrive. You're going to be burning more energy by default. And that way you don't even have to pay attention to how many calories you're getting on a day. So let's talk about the big lie. Beauty is pain. I'm sure all of you guys have heard that at some point. It's like, yeah, if you want to look like this, you got to go through some pain. And yes, there is some effort that's put into it, but it's not as serious as it needs to be. Like me, myself, I probably work out less than you, right? Like you don't have to work out 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week. You don't have to eat a disgusting diet. You don't have to feel like you're about to die 24/7 to stay lean. Right? So you don't have to destroy your health and your fertility to look amazing. You don't need to eat so little calories and deplete yourself all the time because your body's going to go into survival mode and it's going to burn less energy and like down regulate a lot of stuff. And that's where you start to feel like crap. That's why bodybuilders are looking like they're on their deathbed right before their show. That is not the pinnacle of health. There is a point where you have a solid state of hormonal health, which I think is at the seat of what your regular health is. One of my mentors first mentioned that to me, and it's honestly like so true. If you get your hormonal health in check, an awesome physique is pretty much inevitable so long as you got training and basic nutrition on point. And you create it in a sustainable fashion that you can actually consistently follow for a long period of time. You don't have to eat little amounts of disgusting food to stay lean, right? You don't have to train super long. You don't have to live like Mr. Olympia or David Goggins to stay lean. You know, fitness doesn't need to be a full-time job that cuts into your personal life. This should just be something that falls into the background of your life to where, you know, it's just second nature. You're not doing a workout, you're not doing a diet, you're just living your life in a way that, you know, you couldn't possibly fail. Last thing, you don't need to feel like you're an irritable zombie 24/7, where you look great, you feel like shit. That's not even worth it. And that's why so many people get demoralized after, you know, they get their crazy physique through keto or carnivore or, you know, some crazy 75 hard workout plan where they beat the fuck out of themselves. They feel like shit. And then it's just not sustainable. Number one, because the effort is too high, but it's also just like, if you feel like crap 24/7, why would you keep doing that stuff? Right? So what I want to caution you of is something I call the low metabolism starter pack. So there's a lot of stuff in mainstream fitness advice that pretty much just nukes your metabolism, and it's more so like your overall hormonal function. But these things, let's talk about, you know, metabolism specifically. So high protein diets, yes, can be good. And especially if you're just aiming to hit high protein, but you're still falling short of your goal, it's like, you know, sometimes a shoot for the stars and you might hit the moon mentality. Sometimes that is good. But if you are going to maintain a calorie deficit where you're eating less calories than your body is burning in a day, right? There's a certain amount of protein that is like the bare minimum that you need. And honestly, like that bare minimum will suffice. You don't really need to go any more over that. Now, if you go way too high in protein, but you're gonna maintain that low calorie count, those extra calories over top of that extra, you know, over top of that minimum protein requirement, those extra calories on top of that, they gotta come from somewhere, and they're gonna come from your fats and your carbs. But the problem is if you slash your fats too low or you slash your carbs too low, your hormonal function is gonna tank. Fats are very correlated with testosterone, and carbs are very correlated, you know, through sugars, through your thyroid function. And you want a balance of all three macronutrients. So if you're going too high in protein, you're gonna slash the other two, and it's just not gonna be optimal. The other thing is running and cardio. Yes, you burning calories can increase your blood flow and, you know, your metabolic rate to a certain extent, but there is a point where you're doing so much work that your body is super stressed, right? You have a finite amount of energy in the week. And, you know, you want to think about it. I have this garden hose analogy, which I'll essentially use in a little bit, but you don't want to spread yourself too thin. You want to be really specific with the work that you're doing, and doing too much cardio, you know, specifically with stuff like running or, you know, whatever you hate doing. If you keep doing more of that, you're going to get demoralized, number one. But as cortisol goes up, you know, as your stress hormones go up, your reproductive hormones go down, because there's always that hormonal balance. And as your reproductive hormones go down, your metabolism will drop. Frequent prolonged fasting. So if you do 24-hour fasts or more, your body is going to burn less calories by default because it's not sure of when it's going to get more food. Your body does this as a survival mechanism so you don't just wither away and die, right? Like if you're eating a ton of food, ton of healthy sugars, you know, doing a lot of exercise, your body's burning a ton of calories. And on the opposite end, if you're not doing a ton of work, if you are, you know, eating very little food, and especially like eating, you know, maybe like 2 meals a day every few days or something like that, your body's like, whoa, we're not sure of when we're actually going to get more food, so we might as well decrease the amount of energy that we're burning in a day. And as your metabolic rate goes lower, you know, how are you going to create a calorie deficit when you're only burning this much? Well, like you can't just eat no food. That's not sustainable. So low fat diets are going to nuke your metabolism because of what I mentioned earlier, because of the testosterone decrease that you'll see. You'll also just feel like crap. The other thing with fats is fats are super important for keeping you satiated, right? The reason that peanut butter is so filling is because of the fat content, right? So low fat diets make people hungry as fuck, and it's just not sustainable. Low sugar diets, low carb diets, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, they nuke your thyroid, which controls your metabolism. And then last thing I'll say is being in a calorie deficit for too long. So like more than 12 weeks is a little bit too long. You need these periods where you revive your metabolism because your body will adjust to the amount of calories that you're giving it. That's why when you are cutting for too long, like eventually your body adjusts to the amount of calories, and that's why you lose more weight in the beginning of the cut versus the end. But on the opposite end too, right? You're building muscle, you're gaining weight with a certain amount of calories. Eventually your weight gain plateaus because your metabolism rises up to that level. You know, your metabolism is like the bar, or like the amount of calories that you're eating is like the bar, and your metabolism will adjust around, you know, in that way. So real quick point that I want you to think about. Trying to create a calorie deficit when you have a low metabolism is like trying to save your way to get rich, right? So it's simply just a matter of practicality. You want to boost your metabolism so you have more calories that you're burning in a day. You have more to work with. That way you can get to a point where you don't even have to track anymore, right? You're just going off your own hunger. And if you do the things that I'm about to get into, like your hunger is going to be like genuine. You're going to have honest hunger signals. Whereas if you're eating lots of processed foods, you know, you're getting that like fake chronic dopamine spike. You know, that is sending hunger signals to your brain when you don't really even need to eat. Right? So this is why you can just eat Oreos all day long. But if you eat a pound of ground beef, you're going to be pretty damn stuffed. So how to look like the cover of a magazine without even trying. So we're going to get into this. Some of the key principles are just stack the deck in your favor. Think high leverage activities. Think less about the gimmicks or trying to force your way into a high metabolism or, you know, getting shredded as soon as possible type thing. So stop focusing on doing a workout plan or doing a diet, right? Just live your life in a way to where you are moving in the direction of your goal, and it's pretty much inevitable that you're going to get there. Other thing, working out is not for burning calories. Weightlifting specifically is to gain or retain muscle mass, and then cardiovascular exercise, that should be for your cardiovascular health, right? Like, yes, you can use these hacks, couple extra more workouts to burn some extra calories. But for the most part, you should just be focusing on building and maintaining strength so that you can retain your muscle if you're cutting. And that's the only way that you're going to grow muscle if you're trying to bulk, right? If you are eating in a surplus, but you're not gaining strength, your body's just going to gain fat. It's not going to want to gain any muscle. Now, forget trying to eat low calorie meals. Eat foods that skyrocket your metabolism, that nurture your hormonal health, that skyrocket your thyroid function. That's where you want to be. And anything that you can't see yourself doing outside of more than 6 months, it's a recipe for disaster, right? Like, you can only sustain some of this stuff for so long. That's why, again, keto, carnivore, 75 hard, they're just not sustainable for the average person. Set your life up in a way that makes success inevitable and live the life that you want to live. Stop thinking about what's the best thing that I could do right now. Like, how can I get the quickest results? How do you want to be living your life in 10 years? Think about that and just start doing those things today so you can start building the consistency, because you're going to have to do it eventually. Now, how to become an energy burning machine. You want to transcend this whole calorie counting thing. You don't want to be doing this forever. If you've ever tried it, I'm sure you can imagine, and you've probably, felt this, it's tedious as hell. Who wants to live their life like that, where you're whipping out the frickin' scale at the table at dinner when you're out, with your family or your girl, or, a business venture, somebody that you're networking with. You don't want to be the guy. It's sort of like I make fun of vegans sometimes. You go out to dinner with people and they make a big fuss over everything. They're like, you got to tell me your vegan options. I want to hear those first. Don't talk to anybody until you talk to me. Don't make it about you. Just like set this up so that you can navigate your life and not have to worry about this stuff so much. And you do that with the high leverage activities that we're going to get into. Number one, and probably what I want people to think about the most, is micronutrients should be the focus over top of macronutrients, right? You still need macros. You still need to play by those rules that are going to help you, get either more muscular or get leaner or a little bit of both. Whatever your goal is, macros do play a part, but it's the micronutrients that are really going to be like gasoline on the fire. There's this idea that micronutrients determine how you feel and macronutrients determine how you look. I don't think that shows the full picture, because micronutrients like zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, all these other things that skyrocket the steroid hormones in your body are going to give you more capacity for muscle growth and fat loss. So by that point, by that logic, micronutrients are almost more important than macros, but you need a balance of both. Still, I want you to get your mind on micros, more nutrient dense foods. Don't just be looking at the nutritional facts, start looking at ingredients and start to learn about, how the food is put together, whether it's, natural food or if it is processed, which you want to mitigate. Stop obsessing over calories, sugar, fiber content. Again, you want to look at the ingredients because that's the most important place to look. Only buy organic or minimally processed, if any at all. That's just like staple. That should be your routine from here forward. Set it and forget it. Sometimes you won't have access to that stuff, but consistently, any of the food that you're eating consistently, you want to make sure that it's organic. 100% grass-fed or pasture-raised is better than just organic food, right? You'll see organic eggs at the store that are on a grain-fed diet. That's going to be pretty dog shit compared to the non-organic pasture-raised eggs. So that's a key indication that I want you to keep in mind. And one last rule for yourself, which is a pretty good litmus test. If it wasn't around 500 years ago, avoid it like the plague, right? If you should eat you basically, you're living in Italy 100 years ago or something crazy like that. Whole foods, single ingredient foods are the best. And then you do that 90% of the time, you can pretty much do whatever you want the other 10%, right? Let's talk about what to avoid. So this is really going to open your eyes as to why the United States and much of the world is really fat and sick, but definitely the United States. So low sugar or zero sugar foods, especially the processed ones, often have artificial sweeteners, which will disrupt your hormonal function. So one of the key things to look for is something like maltodextrin. You'll see all over the packaging, it says zero sugar, no sugar, low fat, whatever it is. Things like maltodextrin will downregulate your thyroid health. It'll, there's all sorts of different artificial sweeteners. You want to steer clear of those. Things like polyunsaturated fats. These create free radicals in your body, which lead to oxidative damage and inflammation. So this is the same thing as, vegetable oils, seed oils, palm oil, the nut oils, sunflower oil, safflower oil, all that stuff. Polyunsaturated fats, you want to avoid those like the plague. Poly means many, right? There's an extra molecule in the polyunsaturated fat that can't bind to anything when it gets in your body, and it creates this free radical, which again creates oxidative damage and then inflammation. So cut those out, stick to saturated or monounsaturated fats. Milks, oat milk, right? You don't want almond milk. You don't want any of that shit. They have pesticides like glyphosate all over them. They're full of phytic acid, which is an anti-nutrient. Most nuts are. You don't really want to eat most nuts. And there's tons of seed oils and maybe even artificial sweeteners in these milks as well. Just drink milk, bro. Just drink some milk. Protein powders, protein bars, and protein shakes. Mostly because they're processed. Obviously, processed food is going to be, lower on the totem pole of importance and what you actually want in your body. But maltodextrin, that artificial sweetener is very common in these other things. So tap water, any water in plastic bottles, that stuff you're going to want to steer clear of. I drink water out of glass bottles from Mountain Valley Spring Water. At the very minimum, you should drink filtered water, like reverse osmosis water. But you still want to figure out how to get electrolytes in after that. Again, anything processed with refined sugar, no food dyes, no red 40, no yellow 5. Thank God, they're talking like they're going to get rid of some of this stuff, and just anything with a laundry list of ingredients. If you look at the back of a food label and it's like this and there's stuff on there that you can't pronounce, probably move on, right? Let's talk about the real diet, the shit that actually is going to get you results, the stuff that's going to make you feel like a goddamn superhuman. So this is the last diet you'll ever need. How to skyrocket your testosterone and your thyroid hormones so that you can stack the deck in your favor and start living better, right? So 100% grass-fed beef is king in terms of micronutrient content. Pasture-raised eggs, raw, 100% grass-fed A2 dairy from an A2 cow. Things like whole milk, Greek yogurt, super high protein in Greek yogurt, kefir, butter, even ice cream. I'm having raw ice cream every single night with a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of cinnamon. Super healthy for you, better than most salads these days. Fruit and juice are going to be one of the best ways to get carbs in, but also these healthy sugars I was talking about that are upregulating your metabolism. So apples, bananas, pomegranate juice can also boost your testosterone and your blood flow and reduce arterial plaques. Arterial plaques are basically like calcium deposits in your arteries. So pomegranate juice promotes that healthy blood flow. Orange juice, super great for blood flow, but also packed full of micronutrients and other sugars that will upregulate your metabolism. Even if you could just take a swig of OJ every now and then, that's one of the things these Ray Peat people talk about. Very, very awesome food to have in your diet. Plus, it's just goddamn delicious. Red grapes, I like having those before bed because there's a good melatonin content in there. They're a good bedtime snack. And then, raisins would be another good source. Basically red grapes, but raisins have a good source of boron too. Boron will boost your tests like nothing else. There's a lot of testosterone boosters that have people supplementing with that. Bee products is the other one. Raw, unfiltered honey, not the one in the goddamn bear bottle. That thing, throw it, get rid of that shit. If you can get it from a farm or like Whole Foods, Sprouts, Erewhon, whatever these places are, like even in your regular grocery stores, like you can find raw, unfiltered honey. Stick with that. Organic, of course. Bee pollen is good for your fertility. Propolis, royal jelly, one of the best supplements you could take. Tubers like sweet potatoes and raw carrots will be really good. Raw carrots are good for, lowering endotoxin in the gut to improve your gut health and also like lowering excess estrogen. So get rid of your saggy man titties and beer gut with some raw carrots every night. Onions are another great tuber to have. Maple syrup, organic cane sugar, these things will boost your metabolism. These are thyroid healthy foods. Don't be afraid of cane sugar so long as it's organic from a good source. Probably limit it to a certain degree. Like you don't want to just be crushing sugar all day. Definitely salt the shit out of your food with a great salt. So I use Redmond sea salt. Ceylon cinnamon will boost your testosterone, but also your blood flow. Grains of Paradise is a pepper that I use instead of black pepper on my eggs and my meats. It'll boost your testosterone. It'll lower your blood pressure, lower your stress and anxiety. Good supplement to have. Coconut oil, great source of fats, ghee, argan oil, beef tallow, olive oil. These are the fats that you want to stick to. Steer clear of polyunsaturated fats. So like seed oils, any of that shit, get rid of it. The 90-10 rule. I think I mentioned this earlier. Number one, be deliberate about your diet and own every decision. If you're going to eat like an animal 90% of the time, enjoy that. Like be deliberate, enjoy being locked in like that. So that the other 10% of the time, when you're on a date, at a party, like with your family, wherever you're at on vacation, you're traveling, you can eat basically whatever you want and you're not going to have any shame or guilt because you've been locked in for whatever amount of time. Right? No, in the back of your mind, you probably will feel like crap depending on what it is that you do, right? Like you might, regress in terms of your progress, whatever it might be, but check in and out of these different points of life. Like there's no point in saying, I'm going to be so rigid for the rest of my life because you're not. Be honest with yourself, be realistic. Do what you can, like basically I would say 100% of the time. And these times where it makes sense to loosen up, they'll present themselves to you. And just have the wisdom. This is something you might have to cultivate over time, but have the wisdom to know when it does make sense to loosen up, right? And that's how you can just be really great at navigating life while still looking like the cover of a magazine. Stack the deck in your favor to give yourself a bigger margin for error. Right? If I go and eat candy, pizza, soda, jelly beans all weekend over Easter, my physique doesn't even flinch, right? I'm so locked in the other 100% of the time, the other 99% of the time. It doesn't matter what I do that weekend. It's not like, same way that you're not going to get ripped overnight, you're not going to lose your shape overnight, especially if you're doing stuff right. Front load the work so you can enjoy the back end. That's kind of what the whole point of the stack the deck in your favor thing is. Being too rigid, recipe for failure. And just always think about this. Have an even balance between your personal preference in terms of like what you feel like doing, what you like doing, but also your health. Like do things, deposit into your health bank account as often as possible, but still take your preference into account. And then obviously the other thing would be meeting the calorie macro requirements that support your physique goals at that point. And eventually when you get to your ideal physique, you're just at a point, now you're just maintaining it. As you're maintaining it, you're cultivating that consistency and that knowledge and that knowing for what you really need to eat in a day. Now you're not even thinking about this stuff anymore. It's just, like I said, it's like a sixth sense. That's pretty much it. So let's talk about workouts. How to work out like a Greek god, right? How to mog people on the beach. How to just be that guy when you walk into a room. How to literally snap necks. You will catch more looks in public if you get this stuff in check with the nutrition and the other lifestyle stuff we'll talk about. So I use something I call the pressure washer method. So let's talk about this. I think earlier I was saying how, you want to be very strategic with the amount of time and work that you're putting in. You have a finite amount of energy, right? If you think about, you're cleaning something off your car, right? If you're out in there in your driveway, you don't want to use like the shower setting on your garden hose. You want to use the jet. You want to use the pressure washer and just be like, psh, 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 be really specific with the effort that you're putting in and take longer rest periods. 3 to 4 days a week of heavy weight training is the best workout schedule for testosterone production. I've been working out like this for 8 years. I just do Monday, Wednesday, Friday every single week. I didn't know this till like a year or two ago, but it's actually the best workout schedule for testosterone. Another good thing for testosterone is sprints, right? Like sprinting for 10 or 15 seconds followed by maybe like 3 minutes rest. It's these high intensity lifts or, these high intensity exercises or activities followed by longer rest periods on a micro sense and like, that day, that workout, but also throughout the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Number one, growth comes from recovery, not from the workouts themselves. So if you're working out too often, you're not going to be able to recover from that unless you're on gear. I'm 100% natural. I'm sure that if you're watching this, you're probably 100% natural. You don't have the capacity to recover like somebody on Tren, even TRT, any of those PEDs, which are just, short-sighted decisions, in my opinion. Like you're not going to be able to recover like those guys. So you got to be strategic, right? You work out, take a day of rest in between just so that not only your muscles can recover, but your local nerves throughout your entire body, which are really actually operating everything, those can recover. This will also get rid of fatigue. And, if you're working out the way I've set it up, which we'll talk about in a second, you walk out of the gym with multiple personal records under your belt every single workout, right? Like you're feeling high and mighty because you just crushed all these PRs. Now you've got 48 hours before you can go back to the gym. You're like itching to get back in there. And that just creates this beautiful scenario for you to stay consistent long term. And that's why I think I've been able to maintain this sort of physique for so long. Now, working out more than 4 days a week increases stress hormones. And again, as estrogen, cortisol, as your stress hormones go up, reproductive hormones go down, testosterone. Obviously, you can adapt to that sort of stuff. Like there are the David Gogginses in the world. But think about this. Do you want to live your life like that? Again, live the life that you want to live. Be strategic, be practical, and set your life up in a way to where you can sustain it without even having to put any real willpower in it. Create a plan that you can become addicted to. Keep cardio conducive to your lifestyle. Basically, just don't run if you hate running, right? Walk as often as you can. That's technically low intensity cardio. Fighting, whether it's Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, straight up boxing, cliff jumping, that's something I like to do over the summer. Having sex, that's technically cardio. Just straight up jumping on the ground, maybe jump rope, or just literally doing like maybe Maasai jumps, whatever it is. Get your heart pumping, but do it in a way that's practical to you, right? So don't be, maybe there's a mental toughness thing that you'd like to work at, but don't stress yourself out more than you really need to. There's good stress and then there's bad stress. Sprinting will boost your T, and then just main idea is do smart work over hard work. But if you can work hard smartly, then you're on the right path. So for weightlifting, how to get way too jacked for your own good, right? So reverse pyramid training is a godsend. When I started doing this, my physique really took off because I wasn't trying to do standard pyramid, trying to just do as many sets as I could per exercise. I also really started to focus on strength. So strength is crucial if you're going to build muscle, but also if you're going to retain any muscle on a cut so that you can maintain, you want to maintain your strength, so you maintain your muscle, and that way you're losing the right weight. That's kind of the key here. But you don't have to do any crazy high volume workouts or low volume workouts. Like, make it fun. Don't do the minimalist training where you're doing like 3 exercises, 2 sets each. Even though you could do that, like, have fun with training, just enjoy yourself. 5 to 7 exercises is the sweet spot, maybe 2 to 3 sets each, depending on the exercise. 4 to 12 rep range is generally where you want to be. There's some that go slightly higher than that, but I would never really go lower than 4 reps unless you're doing like a 1 rep max every now and again. Don't do that too frequently, but that's the best way to do it. 3 to 4 minutes rest in between sets, no matter what the exercise is, whether it's accessory movement, isolation, or a compound lift. This is going to make sure that you have the most capacity to move the most amount of weight for the most amount of reps with the best possible form. Because yes, you need progressive overload. That's key. You want to add weight or add a rep to each individual set every single workout, but it can't only be about the weight. You don't want to end up like one of these power lifters that's deadlifting 700 pounds, but they're skinny as a nail, right? You ever seen that? Like relative strength, super, super, super inspiring, right? It's like super respectable, but you're trying to look solid on the beach, right? You're trying to look great in those photos. You're trying to, wear it on your chest as you're walking around. You don't want to have to wait till you actually get to the gym to be impressive. Shout out to you guys. Anyway, incline bench, overhead press, weighted pull-ups, rows, weighted dips. Do the exercises that a fucking Chad would do, right? Whatever the most badass exercises that you could do, that's what you want to stick to. No fluff in the workout either. Like, don't waste your time in there. Everything should have a purpose. You want to do these exercises which are hitting the muscles that you would like to grow, and that will mean different things for different people. Heavy close grip bench and barbell bicep curls for massive arms. Triceps make up 2/3 of your arm size. So if you really want big arms, you want tricep size, and close grip bench will, make sure that you are hitting your triceps more than your chest and your shoulders. Other things like weighted dips. And then these will translate to really any other pressing movement. Your tricep strength goes up, all the other pressing movements go up, your incline bench goes up. You grow a bigger upper chest if your triceps get stronger. Keep that in mind. Side lateral raises, so you get that V shape and you get that nice capped look on the delts. Face pulls twice a week will make sure that you have optimal shoulder health, but also round ass shoulders, especially from the side. It'll make your back look better. It'll correct your posture so you stand taller. You have a more powerful presence. Squats and deadlifts, these are the best exercises for testosterone production. If you're not hitting those, you're really hurting yourself. Progressive overload, again, as I mentioned, you got to add weight or a rep to each individual set of each workout. If you want to make progress over time, you got to give your body a reason to grow, right? And you got to give your body a reason to hold on to that muscle when you are at a cut. Don't go for any rep that you're not 100% sure that you can get. This is going to allow you to basically trust yourself in the gym. The mindset is crucial when you're building strength, but let's say that you do go for a rep that you weren't sure whether or not you could get it. Let's say that you do get it this week. Next week, you're going to have to come into the gym and you're going to have to top that. And more of a chance you'll be like, whoa, I almost didn't get it last time. Am I going to get it this week? And that just sort of sends you into negative thought pattern. So essentially, what you want to do is don't go for any reps you're not sure that you can get. If you're not sure whether or not you can get it, just rack it. Next week, you're going to come in and crush that set, right? Because you have 2 or 3 sets to make progress on. If you don't make progress on every single set of every workout, don't get bent out of shape. Just do what you can with what you can wherever you are and keep moving in the direction you want to go. Sleep. This is the biggest lever that you can pull for your hormonal health, but also just your overall mood, right? If you're sleeping better, every time that you're awake is just going to be better. So the key to unlocking steroid-like results and boundless energy. If you sleep better, you're going to recover better, meaning you grow bigger, or you just have a better body composition after a cut. A consistent sleep schedule is most important. Get sunlight in your eyes as soon as you wake up. Keep your caffeine below 400 or 500 milligrams daily. Any more than that, and you technically could overdose. You're very much at risk of that as you get older. Stop use as early as possible in the day. Stop drinking liquids 2-3 hours before bed. Have carbs closer to bedtime so you get the food coma. Supplement with 400 or 500 milligrams of magnesium glycinate 1 hour before bed. You'll knock out like a light. You'll stay asleep through the whole night. Your digestion will improve. Your energy will improve because your nervous system is improving. Take a hot shower 1 hour before bed to reduce internal body temperature. Right? So as your external body temperature increases, your internal body temperature will decrease and you can fall asleep better. Sleep naked in a cold, pitch black room. Most guys sleeping with clothes on, you're getting restricted as you're asleep. It's uncomfortable, more of a chance you're going to wake up. Sleep nude. Reduce blue light exposure near bedtime. And turn off electronics before bed. Like literally put a piece of tape over the light on your TV or your computer. Turn your phone off or put it on airplane mode on the other side of the room. Keep EMFs away from your head. Don't sleep next to any power outlets. Just do these things. You're going to sleep better. Figure out whatever you need to do to knock out like a light every night. And that way you spring out of bed the next morning. Now, a quick note about me. It might be really easy to see I'm, giant jacked. You might think I have great genetics or I'm on, steroids or something like that. I did not have great genetics, right? I was 139 pounds at 5'10", no muscle mass, no abs, really like basically skinny fat, but not even fat, right? I'm just like skinny with no definition. I had no confidence or ambition. Life wasn't super good. So, it made sense why I wanted to get into this stuff, to start building up my confidence and, be somebody, right? I wanted people to take me seriously. That was kind of it. Now, I did put on like 20 or 30 pounds of weight over the first like couple of years of working out, but still kind of a mediocre physique, looked better, but still not really where I wanted to be. So I started counting calories and macros that I actually saw the results that I was looking for, right? I went from 173 down to 158. This was the first time that I ever got shredded. And really what I was doing is just getting a ton of steps. I was working in a restaurant, maybe working construction. I was doing intermittent fasting, doing the 3 days of weightlifting per week. And that was simple for me. The thing here though, is I was obsessed with all of this stuff. If you asked me a question, I don't know what it was about. I would sort of finagle it into talking about intermittent fasting. I was super, super focused on my diet, my workouts, and just like whatever I needed to do to stay shredded. It was not a great way to live, honestly. And it seemed like I had solved fitness and everything would be great from there forward, but it wasn't the case, right? So I got into this calorie counting rat race. Yes, I got great results with calorie counting, but it became a thing where if I didn't do that, I didn't have the results that I wanted to. So I was essentially like torturing myself, fighting against my own hunger to maintain my physique. And it, wasn't really, achievable with any effort that wasn't sort of excruciating. My stress and anxiety started to go up because I was just focused on my calories all the time, or like how upset I was that I wasn't as lean as I wanted to be. Started getting brain fog and energy issues because I was just trying to eat less, beat the crap out of myself to burn more calories and stuff. Toying with the idea of just giving up and saying, screw this. Like, what is the worth? Confused and frustrated, and I had to like low-key starve myself to get lean eventually. So here, like, I look okay, but I don't look amazing like I do now, right? And it was because of the calorie counting rat race that most people find themselves in. Maybe you're here right now. It got to the point where I did start like low-key starving myself, or literally like malnourishing myself. I'm eating like junk food all day, right? I was working construction out in the sun all day, getting steps in sunlight, but I was beating the crap out of myself hormonally. I was eating like foods devoid of any nutrients at all. It wasn't a good way to live my life. Just making bad diet and lifestyle decisions, but still hitting the calories got me to this point where I was really lean and shredded, but I had lost all the progress that I made. Like after that first time that I got lean, I bumped up to like 175 pounds and lean, and then I lost all of it. And now I think in this photo, I'm like 159 or something like that. So look really lean, look really good. Under the hood, everything's on fire. And you can sort of see it in my eyes here in this photo that I took of myself. I looked like dead in the face pretty much. It wasn't a good way to live my life. And it got so bad that it started to affect my personal and professional life. And that's when I decided, I got to get this health thing figured out, right? I have to stop focusing on the gimmicks, stop focusing on, the specifics, the calories, the macros, the training and everything. I got to start, developing a solid state of hormonal health. So once I started doing that, everything changed. I started building muscle and losing fat at the same time, right? But not only that, my energy, my vitality, my brain power, my mental focus, all that stuff skyrocketed. Everything became better when I started focusing on the power of micronutrients and lifestyle optimization, focused on boosting my testosterone and my thyroid hormones, which regulate my metabolism. So that way I didn't have to put so much effort in to stay lean. And this all became, like I said, autopilot. I don't think about this stuff anymore. So let's talk about metabolic autopilot. There's a few phases that you got to go through. Number one is calibration, right? The groove, unconscious competence. These are the 3 stages. So calibration phase, you do want to do some short-term calorie and macro tracking. If you've never done it before, you have to have an understanding of this. You need to know, hey, this amount of food is this amount of calories. This is what this amount of protein looks like. If I'm getting adequate fats, which are around 35% of total calories, this is what I need to eat in order to hit those numbers. You want to do that, basically in the beginning, but the goal is to stop as soon as possible so you can just, live life a lot less stressfully. Tracking workouts and getting acclimated to your strength level. You don't need to be the strongest guy in the gym. You just need to be climbing the ladder in order to, move up in terms of muscle mass and, reduce body fat so your body composition improves. You want to do a lifestyle audit and recalibration. How do you sleep? How do you set up your day? Are you living, a hell of a life, in a bad way? Like, are you super stressed and anxious? Are you just coursing with cortisol all day long, feeling like a maniac? What is your quality of life? What is your mental health like? That's going to affect your physiology. Definitely. Your emotions affect your physiology and reverse. It goes both ways. Identify your weaknesses or struggles relevant to you. You deal with different things than me or the next guy. So figure out what you got to get over, and that's going to put you on the right track. Generally, fat loss is going to be this main focus for most of us until the rebound spot. Now, this spot is where you're either as lean as you want to be, or it wouldn't make sense to cut any further at the cost of the muscle that you would sacrifice. So if you want to lose body fat, you need a calorie deficit, which means that you need to eat less calories than your body burns in a day in order to lose body weight, so that your body will use the fat stores for energy instead of the food that you ate that day or whatever it might be. But you need to track your calories and your macros and your training to make sure that you're actually losing the right weight. But anyway, when you hit that rebound spot where you are as lean as you want to be, or it wouldn't make sense to cut any further, you don't want to just jump straight to bulking calories, right? At first, you're going to shave everything off, but then the idea is like to put some muscle mass on in the right areas without gaining any fat. And if you're going to do this, you want to work with a conservative surplus to start and then just build on top of that. But little by little, increase it until your body weight adjusts, increase it. And this is how over time you can add lean mass without fat mass, so you just look better over time. So the groove phase is kind of where, I was just mentioning, you're consistently building strength in the gym and addicted to your workouts. You couldn't miss a workout if you tried. You're just locked in, everything's working. You don't have to consciously track calories anymore or increase, and you're also increasing the calories over time. So now you're getting to the point where, okay, this is my daily schedule. This is what I eat most of the time. Like you don't even have to open up MyFitnessPal or whatever tracking app that you're using. You're just going down a list of food. You're experiencing massive increase in energy from hormonal balance and improved thyroid function. So this is where you want to be, to where you don't have to focus on the calorie counting or doing a bunch of extra workouts to burn calories. Like, your metabolic rate is just so high, you couldn't get fat if you tried. You'll be dumbfounded at how effortless it is to maintain this consistency, because at that rebound spot, that's where you have been sort of, you're going to be as depleted as you will be. And then from there, your energy is only going to increase. And as you gain more weight, you gain more energy, you look better in the mirror. That's where everything becomes an upward spiral. And you just want to conservatively increase calories over time so you don't overdo it and put on fat that you don't want. Your friends and family start to notice your results, right? People are going to come from the woodworks like, yo, what are you eating, bro? What workouts are you doing? How can I get some of that? And they're going to be pretty dumbfounded when you tell them what you're doing, because it's not so over the top. You start to realize your newfound confidence and tenacity in the world, right? You become a go-getter. Once you're so locked in with your diet, your workouts, these other lifestyle things, like you get that in check, now you're thinking bigger and better, right? What are the other places in my life that I can fix, that I can adjust, that I can finagle in order to see more bang for my buck? And then, as I said, you're just looking better and better week after week, even though you're eating more food, which is a tough thing to wrap your head around. You don't have to eat so little food to look amazing and feel great. So the other thing is, one day you'll hit this unconscious competence spot. So this is the final phase where you're just living your life. You've got this great asset of solid hormonal health and this energy that is going to propel you forward in whatever you need it for. But you've also got an awesome physique that isn't going to flinch no matter what you do. You go on vacation, you go on a date, you eat whatever you want, do whatever you want. Maybe you don't sleep for an entire day. You look exactly the same. You're able to navigate whatever you need to. So you've transcended willpower entirely, right? Like you don't even have to, put too much effort into this. It's just discipline at this point. But in the way I've set this up, it's actually not even that hard to follow in the first place. Like you won't even feel like you need to be disciplined. It's just a matter of creating a routine. The other thing is you'll have more energy than that of your teenage self. When I was 18, that photo I showed you earlier, I had no energy. And now I feel like I could just run laps around my little cousins and whatnot. Obviously, if energy is more of a focus of yours, there's other things that we could talk about. But, this is the point where, your energy is just leveling up as your physique is leveling up and you're in an upward spiral. And if you're not there already, it's only a matter of time until you hit your dream physique with a metabolism so high, like you can't get fat if you tried. You're not plagued with low self-image anymore. Like you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you're like, damn, I look good. It sets the right tone for the day. Super confident, and it's propelling you forward in life. And you're just becoming a magnetic person. People look when you walk in the room, right? People are asking about you. People are curious about you. You're like that mysterious dude, right? So this is where life truly begins, as cheesy as that is to say. Your newfound audacity and self-belief exponentially increases your success in every area. Finances, relationships, your higher purpose in life. Whatever it is that you are here on this earth to do, you're going to be able to do that better. And you're starting to notice that. You start focusing on the important things rather than your body fat percentage or the weight on the scale, right? Who cares about that stuff? Nobody can see it on your forehead, what your body fat percentage is. All they can see is like what your presence is, the energy you bring to the table. And, it's that in the eye contact. It's in the eyes, Chico. The eyes never lie, right? You become a different person when you get this in check. And it's only uphill from there. So energy, vitality, all the brain power and mental focus you need in the world. Like you took the limitless pill from that movie. These have all skyrocketed and now you're an absolute weapon. So these are some of the guys that have, gone through my program. Freaking, all these guys got super shredded, just not even going over the top, not living their life like David Goggins or like they're preparing for Mr. Olympia or anything like that, right? Sheamus down 24 pounds. Freaking Austin down 25 pounds. Scott dropped 17 pounds, got super shredded. Look at that. Andrew looking like a beast over here. And then Alan with that crazy back transformation. These guys are putting me to shame, right? And then I don't know if you could see in the middle, Truman got his testosterone checked after following this plan for a while. He's got triple the testosterone of the average man in America these days. Right? Like mine's at 865. He's putting me to shame. You want to be in the 600 to 1250 range? This dude is like exceeding that. So this is just what happens when you start focusing on doing the things that matter and setting it up in a way to where you're not putting all sorts of extra effort and stress on yourself. Now, how to make success inevitable. These are what some of these guys did and what some of these guys got to enjoy that got them to this place and what's just going to take them even further in the future. So personalized workout plans based off my 3-day framework. This is what I help them configure. Personalized nutrition protocols for each phase of the program. Meal plan consulting. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what to eat. I'm not going to tell you, how to set up your diet. I'm working with you and consulting you on what the best way to set this up is. Because there's that Venn diagram for diet, right? There's what you like eating. There's the best food for your hormonal health. And then there's within the frameworks of the calories and the macros that you should allot for yourself. And you want to be in the middle of that Venn diagram more times than not. How do you decipher that? That's what we talk about here. Access to my full day of eating guides and everything top to bottom, what I eat in a day, so that you can take that as food for thought. Full-on hormone optimization guide. So for diet, workouts, lifestyle, biohacking, right? Supplements you could use, products for your house, how to remove toxins from your environment, how to set yourself up for success, you can use that guide as food for thought. 24/7 access to me through text. Use me as your lifeline, right? You don't need to be, in a room with me 24/7. You don't need to come to the gym with me. Just hit me up on my phone. Weekly redeemable video calls with me at your discretion. So I've got something where I'm not telling you to lock in with me 2 p.m. on Thursday, because there's a point where you're just so locked in with workouts, nutrition, lifestyle, like you're getting pretty rapid results. Everything's working. You're feeling great. You're not really experiencing any issues. There's no need to meet up if we don't have to. I'm not going to be your babysitter. I'm not going to be, I don't want this to be like a college class that you hate going to. I'm sure you guys hate redundant meetings. I would rather you be the one to decide, hey, let's get on a call. If you don't need to, if you're so locked in with your diet, you're already going to the gym 3 times out of the week. I would rather reward you for all the effort that you're putting in, so that number one, I'm just showing you how to navigate your life, but not becoming so overbearing to where I got you doing like homework assignments and shit. I do have a full 100% money back guarantee. And that's just because if you do exactly what I'm showing you, you implement this framework, and you and I do our work to personalize this to your individual situation, it's pretty much inevitable so long as you navigate what life throws at you. So arguably more important than the perfect workout plan or the perfect diet plan or the perfect whatever, how do you navigate when you get sick? When your kid gets sick, when your water heater blows up, when you go on vacation, right? When you don't have access to the food that you want, when you don't have access to the gym that you need to perform your workouts. What do you do in all these scenarios that are gonna continuously happen for the rest of your life, right? You have literally decades ahead of you. What are you gonna do when these things come up in the future? You need a few hacks that you can just nip these things in the butt and keep it moving. It doesn't mean that you have to stop all your progress if one little hiccup happens. And that's what we talk about on these calls. And that's what we talk about, over the course of the program. So you just get to a point where you're good to go. You could coach other people on how to do this. That's my selfish goal for you, is to be able to basically just educate and inspire the people around you, your friends, your family, your spouse, girlfriend, your future girlfriend, whoever it is. They're going to be like, hey, what do I do about diet? What do I do about workouts? You're in really good shape. You're going to be that authority in their life, and you're going to be the one to pull them up with you. So guys, if you've made it this far, I can tell that you're ready to get this handled so you could just move on with your life, right? Like, to a certain degree, this has been occupying your mind for a certain amount of time. I'm sure you're ready to move on, right? The reason I do this is because I remember what it was like waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, being like, oh, I'm not fucking shredded. I'm not jacked. Even if I wasn't overweight, it was like, this just looks like crap. I don't look how I want to look. It sets a horrible tone for the day. You go throughout your day, you operate at work or with your family, your friends, your spouse, whatever it is, you have a bad mindset, you operate terribly. It reduces your potential to succeed in whatever you're working at day to day. You go home, you do whatever you do. You're going to bed, you're thinking about it. You can't sleep over it. You're asleep and you're dreaming about it. This is a terrible way to live your life. Get this handled so you can move on to bigger and better things than your body fat percentage or how you look. Achieve this asset that you can use to propel you forward in life and leave all this in the past, right? So if that's you, if you're ready to get this handled, if you're serious about this, book a call with me with the link in the description. You'll talk to me. It's not going to be anybody else. And, I'm not here to sell you on why you want to do this. I just want to see if you're a good fit, talk to you, see if we're a good vibe. Obviously, I want to make sure that you have strong goals, which I'm sure that you do if you've made it this far. Let's talk about logistics. What are you dealing with? Where are you at right now? What's the current situation? Where are you trying to get to? I'll probably ask you why you want to get there so I can make sure that we'll be laser sharp on what the strategy will be. And we'll just take it from there, guys. So either way, book a call with me. I'll set you in the right direction, even if it's not a good fit. Guys, I hope this has been valuable. Post a comment, in the comments section. Let me know what was most valuable, if it was, any questions that you have. And then the best thing to do is just talk to me. So book a call with the link in the description. Either way, save this video, subscribe. I'm going to post more stuff like this in the future. Like the video so it improves the engagement. And yeah, man, I wish you the best. Stay shredded and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.